So the other day we had a bank, I think it was in Italy, wasn't it? The oldest bank or something, bailed in 600, 800 billion, whatever it was, million bondholders. You're not getting your payments, and when we resume payments, we're not like making up the back payments if and when we resume. Well, here's that Italy again. CEO of Italy's largest bank by assets. We are the United J.P. Morgan Chase. We're the America's largest bank by assets. Well, here's one for you. CEO of Italy's largest bank by assets surprisingly resigns. The stock of the bank is near 2-year highs. What? He's lost the confidence of shareholders. But the bank stock is like near 2-year highs. How could? You don't suppose he's really stepping down because of what's to come? There's no recovery in the Eurozone either. Remember all the money printing we did here? We even printed a ton more and gave it to the Euro banks. And they also printed over there too. So we've double printed, they've triple printed. And no matter what they do or we do, the data does not show there was recovery. Because there is crumbling manufacturing and production data out of Italy right now.
Daddy, make this.
Yep. So, Italy's stability program targets a 5 to 6% primary budget surplus and 3% nominal GDP growth. Both strike J.P. Morgan's Michael Sembles as unrealistic in the context of post-crisis Italy. Notice how they call it post-crisis. Oh, it's beyond. No, it's still here and happening. It's like, post-war. Wait a minute, there's still shots firing over my head. Post-war. Maybe if I say that enough time, the shots will stop. If I keep saying post-war. No, it didn't work. Okay. Italy ran a 6% surplus for a brief moment in the 1990s, but it didn't last. And it was the result of a prior devaluation helping growth. Some asset sales and some tax increases. Only asset sales seem feasible in Italy right now, if anything. If this JP Morgan guy is correct, Italy will remain a country with almost twice the debt to GDP ratio as the U.S. Unbreakable interdependency of the government, the banks, and the ECB, which is the European Central Bank, and low GDP and unemployment growth. If history is any guide, he will be right, as the last few years have seen the biggest collapse in Italian GDP since the unification in the year 1861. Just looking at a little chart. I probably should have printed it and put it behind me for you to see, but it's a little late for that right now. And it is just looking at their 7-year GDP from 1868. Again, up, down. I see World War I and II. Okay, back up. 1950s, 60s, it's way up, looking great. And then just down to 2012, it's actually below 0%. It's below the chart. And where it's at the end of 2012, below this chart, there's nowhere else on the chart since, again, 1860s when the thing began, that ever goes that low. Again, this is a cycle. All you have to do is know. You have to be informed. You just have to know that there's a cycle. Just like we know so easily that there's a sun cycle. We wake up, sun's coming out, certain time at night, it goes down, we go to bed, we wake up, right? That cycle happens so fast, we all recognize it, we all know it, there's no debating it. It's just common knowledge. But what about cycles that take decades and decades and decades and decades? Some of which take place longer than a human life normally. 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, whatever it is. But if you have history and material to read and look at and see charts that go way back to 1861, you just see the old boom and bust cycle, right? The boom and bust cycle, also known as the business cycle, as they like to call it. So whether you want to get pissed off at these bankers and get pissed off at the ones who caused this and pissed off at the ones who bought out the Congress, which you should, just understand that once it gets fixed, and it will get fixed, probably by a revolution, but it will get fixed, and everything will seem fine. We'll vote them out or physically throw them out. Again, depending on what history shows us, violent revolution could take place. New people come in, they care about the country, they rebuild the country, all right, everything's good. 20 years goes by, 30 years goes by, 40. All of a sudden, that's old history. No one really talks about that. Hey, let's see if we can change that rule. Let's get a central bank over here. We'll issue the currency. We'll make all the profit and the interest. We'll be shareholders, but we'll make it private. We'll just pay off a congressman, one of the House, big leaders of the such and such party. We'll go over there. And the cycle starts all over. And there'll be some new people doing what I'm doing right now, doing what you're doing right now, waking up the same right now. The thing is, you and I right now have knowledge. We have the information. We don't have to wait for the cycle to hit, which is already occurring, and they're just extending it so that when it finally really comes down, it's going to be brutal. Gold, again, gold and silver. Physical gold and silver. I'm a silver guy. That's all I get. I used to have some gold. I don't mess with it no more. I like silver. You can go either way. It'll work. But I like silver. Silver and gold are the only things that will save you for this big collapse. Nothing has changed. No data has changed. As a matter of fact, even the crap government data we get shows massive problems. The biggest one, national debt. If this was even payable, we got to tighten our belt. We got to pay. We got to show I love Obama, and we got to show the world that we will pay our debts. We will not falter. We're using credit cards to pay the debt, and then we get new credit cards to pay the old credit cards plus the old original debt. And by chance, the old original debt keeps going up. I can't even pay the credit cards off, much less the original debt. So this is a math. This isn't politics. This isn't my opinion. This isn't a religious view. This is something you cannot ever, not one of you can argue with. Not even me. Nobody. It's called math. The government takes in $2.5 trillion a year right now, and we're spending over $4 trillion. I don't care. Well, look what they said. Look what Obama said. He's got this plan that 10 years we're going to take the deficit. I don't care. Because he said one thing, it didn't matter. All I see is the national debt raising it. So if this was it's just for now because we're in some problems, just for now only. This will be short term, we're doing this. If that was the case, you could not have a national debt that took us over 200 years to accumulate in 1980 to come to $1 trillion. In a short 30 years later, 6 trillion, 8 trillion, 9 trillion, 10 trillion, 15, 16, 17 trillion. And from 2008, it was 9 trillion to 2013, that's 2013, over 17 trillion. Basically, the debt has doubled. By the time Obama leaves office, that debt will have doubled. And some of you may say, well, it's all his fault. Yeah. It doesn't matter who the conductor of the train is, if you follow me. The train is on predetermined track. It's on a predetermined destination. The tracks, which in our case are invisible, but in a train, the tracks are already laid. And every 4 years, a new conductor comes in. Sometimes they let him stay in for 8 years. But by law, that's it. He's got to go. Whew, thank God. I don't like what he did on the train, man. He was really taking that train down a bad course. We need a different party. Get him out and let's get a Republican in there. And I stand here in awe hearing that crap. Don't you know he's driving a train, so to speak, in which it's already predetermined. It's going off a cliff. The train tracks are already laid and sitting there. That's why the train can move. The conductor pulls the horn. Look at me, I'm a big shot. I'm the president of the train. I'm the conductor. Well, yeah. Oh, I don't have Oh, I'm a puppet? Watch this. Toot, toot. Huh? Someone pull my string? Toot, toot. See, I did that. I'm in control. The illusion that the president's in control. Just like the train, it's going down no matter who's driving that turd. It's going off a cliff. What can save you? Gold and silver. That's it. And they control the price of gold and silver. These same bastards. But the longer they hold the price down, you don't even realize, well, I'm sure some of you do. Listening to me, you should. But most people don't realize, even if they slam it even worse, it is nothing but a gift that they hate to have to even do. Trust me, they don't want to have to do that. They don't want to have to mess with the price of gold and silver, but they have to. They have to make sure it stays low so that people don't not want our dollar. And the average person doesn't recognize that, hey, there really is inflation. And if I had gold and silver, I would have maintained everything right now and then some. Can't figure that out, so let's push the price down so that there's an illusion that that's not the case, and it never was. It's not money. Ben Bernanke said it when asked by Ron Paul, is gold money? No. Then why does central bank stock so much of it? Tradition. Every time I say that, I think of Hank Williams. It's a family tradition. It's a central banker's tradition. And for good reason. Because they know gold is in fact money. And the new currency that will be coming out sooner or later after we default, whether it's a world currency or our own, will have to be backed by gold. Precious metals, something. All commodities, some commodities, has to. In 6,000 years of history tells us you can't go wrong as a betting man going with history 6,000 years worth. I don't think so. So I'm going to take that and leave this video with that. Take care.